Hello everyone and welcome to a new YouTube video. In today's video, I'm joined with my friend Christel. She will be helping me today to answer some of your questions, and specifically we'll focus about students coming to study bachelor in Germany. So thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
First, let's if you can introduce yourself.
Of course. Hello, I'm Christel. I'm 23 years old. I just finished my bachelor's in molecular biology, and I'm doing my master's right now.
Where are you from?
I'm American, but I grew up in Dubai,
Mhm.
in the United Arab Emirates.
So your higher school, secondary school certificate was from Dubai.
Actually, it was French.
It was French.
It was French.
So how was that?
So I went to a French school in Dubai, and I did my French baccalaureate as my graduation certificate.
Okay, that's good. So if I want to ask you about the admission process, about how you applied for molecular biology, so how it started, where did you find the offer, and all this stuff.
Yeah, of course. So I knew that I wanted to study in Germany, but I still wasn't sure where exactly or what exactly. And my options were endless, basically, here. So the first thing I did was study German for a year in Koblenz. I went to a language school there, and the language school actually sorted out a lot for me. They gave me residence when I was there. They gave me they fixed my visa for me. They also helped me apply to universities. And at the time, it was during Corona,
Yeah.
and I had to apply during Corona, and I needed my German certificate to apply. What happened was the Sprachschule helped me, and so the language school helped me, and they got me settled into a university.
So if I understand correctly, you studied the French, like for the secondary, the higher school certificate was from a French school
Yes.
in Dubai,
Yes,
and after that you came to Germany for like a language school.
exactly.
So you didn't apply for a university directly.
No, I didn't.
So after you graduated from your school there in Dubai, you came as like a language visa.
Exactly. No, I actually had a student visa that the language school made for me. They do give a conditional offer from a university, so you do kind of apply to a university, but it doesn't have to be the one you go to,
Yeah.
or you do anything for this. You just get a conditional offer, and you send your CV, and they say, okay, no problem. And that was the whole process actually of that. And then we just needed that for the student visa. And I got the student visa for 1 year so that I can learn German. And when I was done, I got my German certificate and I could apply for German university.
So before you come here, you had any knowledge about the German language, or you studied something before?
I had very, very basic knowledge. I could say hello, goodbye, how are you? I did study some at school, but most of the things we did was watch movies, so with French subtitles. So
Okay. So after that, you studied in the school for until which level?
I would say about A1, A2.
Oh, here in the school.
Oh
in
no,
Germany, Koblenz.
no, in Koblenz. Sorry, at school for my high school,
Yeah.
I studied until A2, and then from here and over here I studied from B1 till C1. Well, it wasn't exactly C1. Now it's considered C2, I think, because they recently changed the grading, but it was test staff. So
Okay.
yeah,
And,
test staff was the minimum requirement.
and how long did it take from you to study from B1 until C1?
Yeah, so the courses were about 6 to 7 months, I would say. But then to pass the exam, I had to wait a little bit to even write it. And then the first time I wrote it, I didn't like my grades. I could apply to some universities, but not all of them. And to fulfill the minimum requirement of all of the universities I wanted to apply to, I had to get better grades on my certificate, which is what I did. I wrote it again, and I got the grades that I wanted.
That's great. So how long can we say is the maximum, the time for the whole language? So from A1, if someone wants to start from A1 until the C1 or C2 that you reached, how long it could take?
A lot of my friends did it in a year.
In a year.
Yes.
For you, I guess it's like 9 months.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yep.
great, actually. So let's get now to the university. So when you started applying to the university, you chose the topic of molecular biology, yeah? What were the requirements for this?
Okay.
offer?
So since I have a French baccalaureate,
Mhm.
my requirements were just that I have my high school certificate,
Mhm.
and they were that I send them a CV. Some universities ask for a cover letter. This university did not ask me for a cover letter or any kind of letter of motivation or anything like
Mhm.
this. And then my health insurance. I had to have health insurance, and I think that's all. Yeah.
So it's not much of requirement.
No, it's not.
What about the grade? Like, did they have any grade
They
requirements?
For molecular biology, when I was applying, there were no grade requirements. I think there still isn't. But that also means that the studies are very tough, and that they know that they will kick out a lot of people by
Mhm.
the end of the year.
Actually, because I know I didn't ask, but I forgot that people are watching. So, what university are you in?
I'm in Rhineland-Palatinate Technical University
Yeah,
on
RPT for short.
campus Kaiserslautern. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So, what do you think will be also the requirements for anyone coming from the Middle East, maybe from
Yes,
Egypt,
of
from
course.
Saudi Arabia?
So some certificates are not recognized here.
Mhm.
So some high school certificates are not recognized, which means that they have to do a foundation year. What that means is they do not just the language school for 1 year, but they will also do 1 year of foundation year, where they will do, depending on their subject, math, physics, chemistry, biology, whatever, in German for 1 year, and they will study this.
In German language. So, they should first know the language.
Yes.
Then they should apply to the foundation year to
Yes,
start.
yes. Some language schools even have this foundation year.
Mhm.
Some schools have this foundation year for all of the different paths, because you can do M for math, or I don't really know them very well, but I do know that some of my friends wanted to study different things, and sometimes they could do the foundation year here. Sometimes they had to go elsewhere to do the foundation year. So maybe they don't have technical, or they don't have I don't know, biology, then they have to go to a different place to do the foundation year there, and then they fulfill the requirements that they need for the university.
So, from what I understand, also that RPT here they allow that you get a conditional acceptance.
No,
They don't.
no.
So you have to first take the language
Yes.
somewhere else and then apply.
Yes.
Okay.
So this foundation year is actually called Studienkolleg, and that's how they can search it up. There, like I said, there are different ones for different majors, and there are also, I think, some general ones in case people don't know yet.
So again, this part, how many student colleagues we are talking about?
I think 3 or 4. I'm not 100% sure on that.
So it's focused on what you are applying to. You have to take the student colleague that's
Yes.
specific for this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
So in case you want to go into finance and you don't need you only need math, you don't need physics and chemistry, for example, then you won't need to do physics and chemistry.
So what are the challenges you faced since you came here? So starting from coming from Dubai, you came to the language school, how it was, and after that with your studies.
So for sure, the biggest challenge for me was being away from my family.
Mhm.
That was definitely very difficult for me. But once I got used to living alone, cleaning, which I never did before. I mean, in Dubai, everybody has a cleaning lady.
They are rich.
She comes 3 times a week, cleans everything. Yeah, so learning how to take care of myself, learning, how to use a bank account, how to use and how to pay for rent, how to pay for different things, and manage my budget, and all of this stuff. That was challenging for me. When I first came here, I had a blocked account, which was a requirement for my visa, which means that I have, I think, 10,000 euros. That I only get 1/12 of that per month. So that was how.
You have to manage your expenses.
Yeah, I have to manage my expenses, because I know I will have the same amount next month and next month and next month.
Yeah. And I would think that also because when you came, you can't work. Yeah? You can't start working
No.
while you are studying language.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was impossible for me to work while studying the language. There are some people who do it illegally. They do it under the table. They do some waitressing job and get paid like that, and that's it, and don't have a contract. But I did not want to do anything illegal. I'm too scared for that. So I did not work for a year. So the other challenges that I faced, I think, was some of the culture shock. I think a very well-known joke here is the supermarkets. As soon as you go into a supermarket, it's the biggest culture shock because it's not like in other countries where they're like slowly putting the stuff and they put it in your bag and stuff. No, it's really like and it's as fast as they possibly can. They just throw the stuff and you have to like throw everything into your bag and pay. And yeah, I didn't struggle that much with the language, but there were some times that someone was telling me something in a dialect or something, and I really could not understand anything. And they look at you like you're stupid, and you're like, I don't speak that well.
And you were, at that time you were A2 level.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
A2 level, and still it was hard
Yeah.
to deal.
I mean, sometimes the train and ordering something and everything like that was perfectly fine, but there were definitely times where it was difficult for sure. Um, yeah. What else? I had a lot of trouble with the trains here.
Mm-hmm.
That was another big culture shock because the trains were never on time, and I sometimes didn't know what to watch out for. So that means that this train is, they tell you your train is 15 minutes late, and then a train comes, and you're like, oh, I'm on the right platform. I just go inside, and then you end up on the other side of the country, and you're like, oh no, this is the wrong train.
Yeah, it happened to me like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
Just like
it
that.
also happened to me a lot. I also one time fell asleep in the train and I got out. I was kind of out of cash, and the only thing I had was um my card, and didn't I knew it didn't work everywhere. I had trouble with that because my card didn't work everywhere. So I went to the lady and I was like, "Please help me. I don't have any money on me. Please help." A lot of places here also don't accept card, which was a big issue for me. Sometimes I just didn't know how to pay, and I said, I will give you this. This is my purse. I will come back in 2 seconds when
I
I
promise.
when I find an ATM machine. And yeah, it was stuff like that that was, getting used to their culture and getting used to the way stuff work here was definitely an issue. Um, German bureaucracy was kind of annoying sometimes. I think anyone who studied here knows some issues with the Prüfungsamt, for example, where they don't do something on time, or they blame you for something, or they make a mistake and you have to do so much just to fix this. Yeah, it's just a lot of
It's that everything here takes
yeah.
time.
Yeah, for sure. Everything here takes time and it's a lot of back and forth. It's not like you just say it once and it's done. Usually you say it once and they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, no problem." And then you go and then it doesn't work and then you come back and you say,
Yeah,
"Hey,
lost.
hey, what happened? We spoke about it." And they're like, "Who are you? We've never spoken before." And I was like, "Oh no. Okay. Start from the start." And yeah, this is usually the issue that people face here. I think the people sometimes too, especially older people, it was hard to speak to them, or I don't know, um, they were rude or cold or standoffish, and you really need to know how to warm up to them or how to behave so that they accept you, basically. And I think at first I didn't really know how to behave, and I was just really angry because of this reaction that I was getting. And now I know, okay, actually, I'm not taking this personally. They're just like this. They're just like this. It's not personal. It's fine. Everything's fine. And I don't mind anymore.
Okay, that's actually like something outside university.
Mhm.
So what can be challenges that students can face in the university itself other than the proof exam, like the examination office? So yeah.
So other than the examination office, I think for me a big issue was learning everything in German because
Mhm.
my bachelor's everything was in German, and sometimes it felt like I had to memorize twice as much as everyone else. So everyone just had to memorize, I don't know, a bird has feathers and two legs. I had to memorize how to say feathers, how to say bird, how to say legs. I had to memorize so much more than everyone else, and it sometimes felt like, I'm so tired of like learning so much more than everyone else around me. And I didn't really have any other friends who didn't know German. Everyone knew German and as a native speaker. So it really felt like I was the only person struggling with
Yeah.
some things. And yeah, Google Translate was definitely my best friend a lot of times. I mean, a lot of things you learn in the language school, but a lot of things, you've never heard before. And it's sometimes also technical terms that you have to learn again, even though you learned them at school, but it was completely different. Yeah.
Yeah, for the part-time jobs, what have you worked, first of all?
My part-time job is in the robotics lab. I teach an introduction to programming for little kids that come from school.
And so it's different than your field.
Yes, very different. There are a lot of people though who do jobs from their field. At the university, you can do something in the library that has nothing to do with your field, or you can do something that's like cleaning in the lab or doing experiments for other people or stuff like this. This is more true in the masters. It's definitely easier, but I do know some people who did something small during their bachelor's or maybe um, during those practicals that I mentioned before. So we do lab work, and if you've already done it, then the next year you can teach the next group, and you're paid for this, of course.
And that's good actually because we have a good example here, like to work something that is not related to your field as a part-time job or a heavy. What are the requirements that was needed from you? So it's something not related to your field.
Absolutely nothing. Also, my requirement was to have a visa, to show it to the secretary, to have a registration paper that I'm registered at the university, and to fill out a paper that says bank details,
How we can pay you.
how we can pay you, what you're studying, what you're doing, how old you are, and that's the stuff. And that's
And it was programming.
yes.
So programming, they didn't make any exam for you?
No, they didn't do anything at all. They just asked me some questions about myself. They didn't even ask me any programming questions. They just said, yeah, where are you from? What have you been doing? What do you study? And then the professor told me that the professor I work for now said that he also did some biology
Studies.
during his studies. So at the end of his studies, his thesis was recognizing cells that were sick and stuff. And yeah, so he was very happy that I was coming from biology, and he was
Welcome.
very welcoming for sure. And I was also recommended by someone, so they didn't, nothing at all. They didn't even ask me anything. They didn't, not at all, really.
Okay, and that's actually great because I was talking about in a previous video, I was talking about the part-time jobs and that, yeah, you don't have to work something related to your field. So this is a great example here.
Yeah, for sure. My friend also studies in the library, and she has very flexible hours because the library stays open until late.
Mhm.
So she can choose to study whenever she can choose to work whenever she doesn't have any studies or whenever she doesn't have any lectures, and it's really perfect for her. And it's so close to the university, she just walks in and says, "Oh, I have time,"
Uh-huh.
or she says, or she just fills out the form in the beginning of the week and says, "I have time this and this day."
That's actually great. So you mentioned that when you came with this, like the language school, they found for you an accommodation, right?
Yes.
How did you find an accommodation after that?
So after that, when I moved out of the language school, I had to find my own.
Mhm.
I used WG gesucht.
Uh-huh.
I did not want to live in a WG, though I wanted my own apartment. And because I had lived in a WG with other people during the language school, and I realized it was not for me. And so I wanted to live on my own and looked on different websites to search for this. When I found one, I came here, I saw the apartment, I spoke to the people, and I asked them how much it would be and all the difficult questions. What happens if I don't have hot water? Who pays for this? What happens for that? All of those difficult questions. And does everything work? And then I checked if everything worked, and then I saw some other apartments that I did not like as much, and I said, okay, I will take this apartment.
So you had a lot of options actually.
I did have a lot of options.
And it took you too long to find something, or it was easy?
It took me about a month to find something.
About a month.
The biggest problem I faced was I would write people and they would not answer. And I wrote them in German, of course. Always, whenever you're dealing with anyone here, speak in German. Even if you don't speak any German, write it on Google Translate. Find a German friend tell them, can you please correct this? Because it's definitely gives you a lot more opportunities. So I always wrote in German and I asked them, is this place still available? Can I see it? And it was very easy afterwards. Yeah.
And do they do like some sort of interview with you to know if you are?
So my landlord did do an interview. He asked me about myself and he asked me what I liked about Germany and what I'm studying and how long I'm planning to stay here and those kind of questions. And then he asked me he asked me for my dad's bank account and yeah, so my parents' bank account, but we didn't have a problem with that. So we just sent over parents' bank account and
It's just like a proof that you have money to pay for
yeah,
them?
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I think legally they're not allowed to ask you for this, but he was a nice man, and I just said, yeah, no problem, here you go. I also don't want to pick fights when I don't have to. I do pick fights a lot, so not when I don't have to. So I just accept, and I gave him the stuff, and I said, no problem, here you go. Yes, that's all.
how long you have been here in Germany since?
I've been here since 2019, so 5 years now.
Yeah, we're talking about 5 years.
Yeah.
So now you have a lot of experience. What can be the advices you can give to students who wants to come here? Also, like, do you recommend them to study this molecular biology in German language, I mean? So,
Yeah. So all bachelors here in public school and public universities are in German, and I definitely recommend any of them. Your German will improve so much and so fast. I mean, I only struggled the first year. Afterwards, it was a breeze, really. I did still feel like I was learning more than others, but I think that it's worth it. And the education and the level of education you get here is really unmatched. I know from people who did their bachelor's elsewhere, when they come here, they say that they struggle so much with their master's because the level is so much higher. And yeah, it's definitely a very high level, very rigorous degree, whatever you get as a bachelor degree here. And do I recommend coming here? For sure. I think my only advice would be don't take things personally. It's rarely ever personal. Uh, Sometimes it is, for sure, but usually it's not personal. They treat each other like this too. And once you realize that and once you accept that, you also accept it more when you're treated like this, I think. Also, if you're not happy where you are, or you feel like you're being like really treated badly where you are, move. Because I can tell you for sure it was worse for me in Koblenz than it is here. And when I travel around Germany, I can see that it's so different from one place to another. Really, really different. From one town to the next, it can be the difference between night and day. They can be the nicest people in the world and the worst people in the world.
so this can be actually the last question. Where are the places that you recommend? Like, where are the cities that you don't like?
So definitely cities where people are more diverse, for sure, then they accept it more. Around here, we are around the Rammstein base, so they are very used to Americans. So they're used to this like loud and like I don't know, kind of foreign culture. They're used to it more. Whereas if you go to the north and someone hears something loud, they'll be like, "What is going on? Why are you speaking in this tone? You're being very rude. Stop this," because they're not used to this at all. Yeah, I think for me, I really liked Bonn. I really liked the area here, Heidelberg and Mannheim. Mannheim can be special, but for sure Heidelberg is very, very nice and beautiful. People are nice and the city is beautiful. And in Saarbrücken, the people are also nice. But I think it also depends in the city where you go. So that also makes a difference. I do know that the people in Munich are very snobby and arrogant. I did not feel this that much. But yeah, it's definitely something that people have told me about, and I would not go to the east.
Okay.
Personally.
So which cities we are talking about specifically?
Just I would avoid
Don't
all
go
of
there.
Saxony. All of Saxon.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Saxony is off limits for me.
I would also agree with you about that here in Kaiserslautern, because of Frommenstein days,
Mhm.
even for me, I don't have that much knowledge of German. I didn't have even to deal with people in German. Like people here are okay to deal with English. So yeah, I would agree with this point as well.
Which is not true in a lot of cities where people only speak German and cannot speak a lick of English, and people struggle a lot.
Yeah, and it's understandable actually. Like if you
Yeah.
are going somewhere and they are speaking just German, they think like you should learn the language because they're you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it, I think. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
I believe the viewers benefited so much from your experience.
I hope so, yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Okay guys, that's it with today's video. I hope you liked it. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, you can let me know in the comment section. And see you guys in the next one.